favorite day ever. All right, so I am here with Melanie Curtis, who I met probably like a year and a half, 2 years ago. There's so much I could say about her. I'm going to let her introduce herself, but I'll just tell a funny little story. She took me skydiving, and there's lots of reasons for that. She's jumped out of a plane, like 10, 15,000 times. No big deal. And so she took me a couple of weeks ago at this point, and I remember jumping out of the plane and seeing her, and I'll post this photo, but she high-fived me in the air. When we landed, I'm like, how did you find me? And she's like, I flew to you. And that was like, that was so Melanie. That was so amazing. Like that somebody could tell me that and it was actually true. So she's wonderful. I'm really happy to introduce her and have you get to know her. So I'm going to turn her over to Melanie so she can introduce herself, tell you a little bit about what she does and how she brings light to everything that she touches.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you, Gabby, for having me so much. And I thank you for that more fun intro than just a itemized list. Gosh, it's funny. The elevator pitch that I tend to go with when I try to encapsulate what I do and my story is I tend to go investment banking, professional skydiving, life coaching. That's the trajectory of my professional life. And right for now, I professionally was a skydiver for many years and I still do it very selectively. Case in point, jumping with this beautiful human that you guys are, lucky enough to have in this amazing format, which is so cool. So, and then for the life coaching stuff, I basically work with, the more type A people who basically reject the idea of life coaching. Like when I first started life coaching, I was like, what? Like, what is that? It sounds so stupid. Sounds like a scam to me. And I also was like, well, but it also kind of sounds like it might be if it's real and not a complete scam. And this is a decade ago now. I was like, if it's real and if it's not a scam, if it's a real thing that helps people, it might be part of my calling. So I guess I better figure out if this life coaching thing is a real deal. And so, there's the reason I say that is that a lot of, I think how life coaching is presented online and with certain people, because all life coaches are different, but I'm just like, I don't really buy in a whole lot to super cliche terminology and stuff like that. I buy into the real stuff and the feelings that we want in our lives when we are feeling and being purposeful and all that stuff. But I just wrote an article where I kind of went off on purpose this week, which kind of makes me laugh, but I could go off on a tangent already, girl. So here we go.
I get it. And I think, the fact that you have done something so much of your life that has, what most people would look at based all around fear, and you're jumping out of airplanes, that's not quite normal. That's not what we do, and that's an extreme example. But I would imagine a lot of people that come to you and a lot of people in this audience are business owners, solo business owners, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs come to you because we're scared. We're scared of a lot of things. I mean, some of us, one person's definition of fear is different or level of fear is different. What's the best advice? I know this is a tough question, but what's the best advice you can give to somebody who is stuck and paralyzed in fear, whether it be fear of doing a cold call or fear of jumping out of an airplane? How do you address that?
Yeah, great question. I mean, fear feels the same no matter what it is we're facing. Pretty much. Like, obviously, skydiving is a powerful metaphor because the idea, theoretically, for most people when they jump out of an airplane is that they actually could die, literally die, And so it feels the same. Like if we're afraid of reaching out to this person that we admire, or if we're afraid of, taking steps to leave a job we hate because we fear that our families won't be supported or, will fail or whatever fear it is, that visceral physiological response is the same. And that first feeling is a great place to start, to go, oh, I feel this fear in my body. I feel this anxiety coming up. So I would advise people when they feel that, to have that feeling be the starting point of a new conscious inquiry into yourself, to go, oh, I feel that, I don't quite know what it's about, and ask and go, okay, well, what, like step back and be an observer of yourself if possible. Like that's a skill set in itself, to be able to step outside of our emotion and go objectively in a detached way, go, what am I thinking? What am I actually afraid of here? And sometimes we can discern that ourselves, and other times it helps to talk with a trusted person. So it doesn't have to be a life coach or your coach. It can be. Those professional teammates help a lot, but it could be your mom, it could be your sister, it could be your husband, it could be whatever. But start to talk with trusted people to illuminate that fear, because once we identify what we're actually afraid of in words and identify the thought that's triggering those feelings and physical responses, then we can either, in the illuminating of the fear, realize it's not true and we can release it right away. Or we can go, okay, that's actually legit. I'm genuinely afraid there. So what are steps I can take to mitigate that risk? Does that make sense?
It totally does. And I'd love to kind of like, because a lot of people don't know really what a life coach does. I'd love to almost jump ahead and fast forward. What is your best day as a life coach, or after you have a cycle or several sessions with somebody? What is your best day? Like what happens when you say, wow, I really did my job and this person did the work? Like what
that is an awesome question. It is unbelievably fulfilling work. I easily could cry talking about this because it's so moving to me. But I'll try to keep it together. No promises, ladies.
Oh, go for it. You know, the more emotion that we're all about. I cry every day. So it's okay.
I embrace the reality of the human experience and the joy and love that comes through our bodies and beings and selves. Yeah. Well, so I've worked with lots of people over the years, and the rewarding feeling it's when I see a person who is in this experience, working through something painful, working through these limiting fear thoughts and stuff in whatever area, because it's so totally different. It's unique for all of us. This is why I don't do a cookie cutter process. Like I am not someone who has a thing that's come and go and do these steps and we'll thing. And those are great. Those are super good because they give people experiences to work through. But I do a very organic approach. I have people like fill out a questionnaire at the beginning just to start us off. But after that, it's organic and we talk and we just build a relationship and we get very into the nitty gritty of a person's details. And so anyway, I share that because and this has happened more than one time, but like each time it's moved me deeply, is that people I've worked with a while have either like texted me or told me like, I don't really know what's going on, but I just feel happy. Like
I love that. That is, oh, that's amazing. It's got to be the best thing in the world.
It's so basic to say that, and that can mean any different things for anybody. But the reason that's so powerful is that is not even the goal moment, right? Because my goal isn't to be happy all the time. That means I'm not ever growing and evolving. So I don't say that happiness is the goal. I say that as that is a clear moment where people have released deep limiting fears and deep limiting thoughts, and that is just fucking blows my head off in good ways every time I get that from someone.
I love it. And you know, one of the things that you've taught me in our many chats is, okay, and I love the way that you put it, and I define it all the time. Like you called it mad hooks. Okay, I'm talking people and, you know, things that just get a hook in you, right? And it doesn't stop, and it's like always pulling. And, you know, the concept of boundaries, you know, and I think especially in business, or even like most of this audience as moms, we always have people pulling on our, you know, their hair. Everybody needs a piece of us, right? You know what I mean? It sounds obnoxious, but it's true. Like, I mean, you know, you like all the time, where's my sneakers? Where's this? It's always like for you. But with people, with relationships, what's the best way to define and establish a boundary so that mad hook just does not keep, grabbing at you and grappling with you.
I love the mad hooks. That metaphor is so good because it's more like that. That's like a fierce look at the, when we are in a situation or a relationship that might feel toxic to us, it feels like it has these emotional hooks, like we can't escape. And like when we start, so it's like hard to pull away and it kind of hurts to pull away. And so there's this like not pleasant experience and this thing that feels like it's holding us back, which is a metaphor.
You'd rather not address it because it's like the fish hook in the mouth. Like it's
absolutely, 100%.
First to get it out,
Yeah. So, and this is the thing, like I'm not a mom. I completely respect, and I've said this so many times, I feel like parenthood and being a parent must be the hardest job in the world and best job in the world. And I have so much respect for parents, and that's the truth. I just love it. So why I say that is that I just want people to not feel like I'm trying to sound like I know what they're going through. You know what I mean? Like I can only guess is my point. So from a place of guessing what it's like to be a parent with all of those competing forces and so much love in your heart, driving you to want to do things. And correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm off base. I think of that and it's very common for nurturers, for people who are naturally prone or patterned mentally to be the giving, to give. And then you have this experience of complete breakdown, or you have people who are takers who then come into that giving energy and take advantage of it. That's a super common experience for people who are givers. And so that's a tough thing to feel, obviously, but it's not something that we can't illuminate. Just like everything else, we can go, well, shit, this is not working for me. You know what I mean? Like this whole pattern of me giving everything and feeling always exhausted and feeling like I'm doing everything. And why don't other people help me or give back? I'm speaking to a very sort of specific personality style, but
no, but a lot of moms have that person because you have the kids and then you lose yourself a lot of the time, so that's a very common thing.
Yeah. And it's not wrong or bad. Like I definitely was like this for sure, because I get so much, I love so much. My love is very pure. So we get clouded by this idea that we are being loving by basically not having any boundaries. And that's the thing, is bringing boundaries back into this conversation, is that the whole concept of self-care is so real. We cannot be awesome and contribute to our families or the world in the ways that we can optimally contribute and love if we are depleted to the point of breakdown. Like that will never serve anyone, least of all yourself.
I love that. Yeah. And that whole concept has, everything that you and I have talked about, and this is just a testimonial, just to my friendship with Melanie, has really helped me because I have struggled with that, overgiving, overdoing, and I think it goes back to my childhood. I don't know, just trying to please everybody. Maybe that's it, but it's still a thing. And I've had to start to establish healthy boundaries, and I highly recommend it, even though it's fucking hard every day.
So hard.
Yeah, like you wrote a book, which I thought was awesome because it delved into positive thoughts. It's called One Positive Thought. But what I thought was really interesting, beyond that, like when I started to learn about your story, is overcoming just tough times, and whether it's a relationship that ends or whether it's a path in life that you go down that you're not sure you want to do anymore. And I know that you took a big trip to try to get some clarity. I'm a traveler. Talk a little, if you can, a little bit about how important that was, and not suggesting that people need to go away for a couple of months, but removing yourself from things, whether it's mentally and just getting that clarity. How do we do that in everyday life?
Yeah, that's a great question too. Gosh, all these great questions. So I'm going to re-listen to this for myself when I need to remind myself what to do to keep it together. Yeah. Well, okay. So my big trip, and this is the thing, because my lifestyle was, I designed my business as my life coaching business to be entirely So this is back in the day. I mean, I don't even know, before location independent was a thing. I just was motivated by my value of freedom and wanting to basically, if I wanted to have birthday cake with my mom and on her birthday, I would be able to do that and have a, client call in the basement or something. And I have done that over the years. So basically I ended up getting divorced. And so my life basically mushroom clouded, as it happens when people get divorced. It's like everything changes sort of in an instant. And it's this really gratuitously unsettling, painful, just like it's a full-on life experience. Anyone who's been through a divorce can likely resonate with what I'm saying. So as a result, I was thrust into this sort of rigorously painful life experience while I laugh because now I'm through it. I can laugh at the extremity of life. And that's one thing that definitely helps me in life, that I deeply live from, is that life is so much comedy in life. Like even the extremity of great pain, in my view, is often funny because it's like, what? How, holy shit, this is happening?
That really happened? There's no way that happened to me. But it did.
Yeah, so that's helped me a lot. But so I'm in this rigorous, painful experience, going through my divorce, still running my business, trying to figure out how I was gratuitously burned out in skydiving as well. I was fearful in skydiving because I had a couple of friends pass away. I had, this whole life breakdown going on. So I had a bunch of different things that forced me into stepping back. And I stepped back in terms of skydiving, where I took a couple of years off from skydiving, which was really good and good for my heart to experience life without skydiving, because I've basically been skydiving my entire adult life. And I took this world tour trip. Now, I like to say this, and I think this is pretty true as far as what I've witnessed in myself and in other people, is that most of the time there's this balance, this juxtaposition. So I was in so much pain, truly, so much emotional pain, that I had to do something really big to like balance that. So I took on this trip of challenging the model of mobile entrepreneurship and saying, okay, can my mobile business actually weather living abroad and traveling around the world? I had the plans of this type of life and home and, family, if that it was the way it went, and that is not how it went. And this is the thing that we can all likely connect with, is that life so typically doesn't go the way that we intend. Like no one gets married planning to get divorced, right? No, of course not. And so I'm so thankful, because only in those experiences, like even though the world tour was super rigorous, it definitely gave me something to balance that pain. So I needed it in a way, but in terms of really recovering, that was a totally different thing. Like I did need to step back from doing things, from doing, and really address what I was feeling, and actually get people on my team to help me learn those emotional skills that I now help people with.
I love that. And I think like my last question for this is that you address the concept of burnout. And I think it's so important, and it's hard for me to even imagine like, wow, how do you burn out of like skydiving? It seems so amazing all the time, or anything, but a lot of us do, and like we burn out before we even realize it. And then when we do realize it, it's like too fucking late, what are some of the signs that you're noticing when you're having that feeling, and it's time to change? What are we ignoring when that's happening?
Yeah. So, and that's a interesting point. Like, how can you get burned out skydiving? And it's not like, cause like skydiving, I love skydiving. I just, we just jumped out of an airplane the other day and it was amazing and wonderful. I loved it. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily that I was burned out on skydiving itself. That that beautiful, fun activity and beautiful community is great. It was the lifestyle that I was leading. And so, and this is, people might not resonate with the lifestyle I had because it's certainly not family friendly. It was a rigorous traveling lifestyle. And maybe that's a limiting thought that I can look at. You know what I mean? But I was traveling a great deal as a professional skydiver around the world, coaching at events and this and that. And it was amazing. I would never trade it. I loved it. It was also exhausting. And I also didn't feel like I didn't realize that I needed more time to recover, because I was also building my life coaching business at the same time. I was doing it all, taking it all on my shoulders. Like, you know what I mean? So recognizing that you need breaks, that you need those balancing activities to the rigor is, I think, important for sustainability. Because if I look at it from a balanced perspective, my life is balanced, but it came in a bigger sine wave, you know? So it just depends on how people want to have the balance in their lives show up. If it's weekly, cool. If it's daily, cool. If it's monthly, cool. So for me, it was multiple years of mega intensity, followed by multiple years of a different kind of living. You know what I mean? So not everybody's going to want a lifestyle like that, and that's totally understandable. And so I would just say, look at that for yourselves based on what your lifestyle is, recognizing and looking forward into, is this sustainable if I'm honest with myself?
No, I get that. And I think it's almost a good metaphor.
New term.
I can talk for mothers, because it's like a whole new lifestyle that people delve into, right? And especially if they're working still, it's like, Jesus, okay? Like up in the morning, you know, doing the laundry, making lunches, this and that, being with the kids, then going to work, you know, and you're beholden to somebody else and all of that. Then coming home and there's demands and bath time and all of this stuff, you know, and people are not actually doing things for them. So, I mean, I could see you can't get burned out on motherhood, you know, that's not an option. But I think that it's a beautiful thing to think about, you know, when we are encouraging moms to start their own businesses and create their own lives, you know, professionally, to bring that back to them, you know, where they can have control over something, I'll put it that way, and feel like they're doing something meaningful rather than just running in a hamster wheel. And I think it's easy to get burned out when you're on that track too.
Yeah. I think when we bring ourselves back, no matter what our life experiences are, no matter how much we have on our plate, when we bring ourselves back to our core values, we source energy and fulfillment from that stuff. Like I just did a Facebook Live about this, of like when we're doing stuff that we don't want to do, or we're in resistance to our lives in any way, like we feel that sort of emotional resistance of, oh, I'm in the hamster wheel, or, oh, this is the same every single day, or whatever, or recognize where we are not actively engaging our lives and ourselves in our core values. Because when we choose from there, and because that's the thing, that could just be a mindset shift for people. Literally nothing could change in their daily routine, in the way that they interact with their work or spouse or whatever, but just remembering like, oh, what I'm doing every day, making lunches for my kids, that is connected to my deep core value. And you know what? Yeah, I might have not expected it to be this hard, but this is what I want, period. And so that type of reminder can really help. And certainly if we do want to make active, literal changes, we can then make choices from there such that the time and energy and effort we do spend is going to be bringing us that sort of positive energy that comes from choosing in alignment with our core values.
Agreed. And I think this is all great stuff, and I can't wait to share it with everybody. How can people find you if they want to get in touch with you?
My website is melaniecurtis.com. Most people follow me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, but that's, you know, it's mostly Facebook. And my website, my email list, and YouTube. I'm on those various channels, but I make a lot of funny videos. So if you ever need some laughs, like that's one of my favorite things to do.
I highly recommend it. And also beautiful. She made a beautiful video of us skydiving, and it makes me cry every single time I watch it. I will treasure that forever. Thank you so much for sharing all of yourself with us. We really appreciate it. And we will chat with you soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Gab.
This has gotta be good life. This has gotta be good life.